What is good, y'all? Welcome back to Kid Taj NBA, and in from where I'm recording this, just over an hour, the Boston Celtics are going to tip off at home against the defending champs Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm making a video, as you can see, about how the Boston Celtics can win this series. Now, most of you watching this, and most people in the world, are heavily favoring, including me, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and for obvious reason. They are the defending champs. They have LeBron James. They haven't lost a playoff game yet. And they've been incredibly good, and they've been to the NBA, or at least LeBron James has been to the NBA Finals for the last 6 years. He looks to make it a 7th. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. But I like to think that in the NBA, nothing is for certain. Nothing is for sure. A team is not going to 100% get a win on any given night. Anything could happen. And, it's real tough because we got two series where it's like, okay, Cleveland's definitely going to win. Golden State's definitely going to win. But I think this is the more interesting series. I think that the Boston Celtics have a better chance of beating the Cavs, and the Spurs haven't beaten the Warriors. And I wouldn't have said that to start the series, but since Kawhi Leonard got hurt, everything just imploded. I mean, I don't see the Spurs winning at all. I can't. And that series just has become really uninteresting to me. This series, it hasn't started yet. Any series that hasn't started has a lot of promise already. And we can make our predictions, and I said Cavs in 5 games. So yeah, 1 game off of sweeping the entire Eastern Conference, which is still incredible. But yeah, that's how I think it's going to go down. And incredible also the fact that the Boston Celtics as a 1 seed are such an underdog in this series. Incredible. I mean, some people don't even have them taking a game, yet they're the 1 seed. The 1 seed Celtics and the 2 seed Cavs. This is the most I've ever seen a 1 seed be at a disadvantage in terms of, betting odds and odds in general. As long as I can remember. I mean, the only people that have the Celtics winning the series are some delusional Celtics fans and some delusional LeBron haters, probably. I mean, that'd be my guess. I don't see anybody outside of, those camps that would be like, oh, I think the Celtics have a real shot. I mean, if you pay attention to the NBA for the last 5 years, I mean, you kind of know what's up. And if you pay attention to the playoffs, look at how these two teams are doing. I mean, it's not really that tough to figure out who you're picking. So I'm picking the Cavs. We're all picking the Cavs, right? But the point of this video is to make it a little bit more interesting. How can the Boston Celtics win? How can they win this series? Well, first of all, we're going to start with the 2 games at home. It is a little bit important, the fact that the Boston Celtics have the home court advantage. They got that 1 seed, which means that they are playing the first 2 games at home, and then games 5 and 7 at home if those are necessary or required. And this is big because your first 2 games, you have an advantage. You have your home court advantage. You have that atmosphere that you're better in. And even though the Cavs are a really, really, really good road team, the Boston Celtics have a better chance of taking one of the 2 home games, or even both of the 2 home games, than they do of doing that on the road. Especially with the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've been great on the road, they've been better at home throughout the playoffs. And I think the Boston Celtics will take one of these first 2 games on the road. And in order to do that, what the Boston Celtics have to do really is utilize their roster. They need to have everybody doing what they're there to do. So when I look at that Boston Celtics roster, the first person you think of, the first person in their lineup is point guard Isaiah Thomas, superstar scorer, just incredible offensive guru at 5'9". This guy's a handful. He's the biggest handful on this Boston Celtics team. There's absolutely no way you can dispute that. And he's going to be the main guy for this team. If they want to win, simply put, they need 30 a game out of him, and they need big fourth quarter performances. This Cavs team, they might play a close game with you, and I think that I don't think we're going to see too many blowouts, honestly, because the Celtics, they're a team that they can stick with you. They play as a system. They play as a team. They have a good defense. They move the ball. Their offense is real consistent. It's about if they're knocking down the shots or not, but they don't get a lot of boggled up possessions. They don't get a lot of possessions where they get a bad shot. It's usually good shots. The cuts are really good, and Cleveland's defense hasn't been the best. You have guys you can exploit, like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Those are guys you can go at. You can run all sorts of plays to try to, make them guard Isaiah Thomas or whoever you're trying to, have that mismatch be with. Now, the thing is, the Boston Celtics aren't going to get one blowout game against the Cavs where they win. It's just not going to happen, and that's because of the fact that the Cavs have LBJ and they have shooters all over the place. And the thing is with that is that, look, you're going to stay in any game, but the key is the fourth quarter. I mean, that really is the most important thing for the Boston Celtics, because I'm confident they can stay with the Cavs for 3 quarters. It's just that fourth quarter that really worries me, because I just think that when you get down to the clutch in a playoff game, LeBron James he's the best guy to have the ball in the hands of, not just for, him taking the shot, but he knows how to get his guys involved. And you got shooters everywhere, like I said, Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Darren Williams, all over the team. I mean, these guys are snipers. They really are. Channing Frye. And it's going to be real hard for the Boston Celtics to counter that in a fourth quarter where, okay, they can knock down their shots, but their offense doesn't come as easily as it does for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Boston Celtics can shoot like the Cavs. Not as well, but they will shoot as much as the Cavs, if not more. They like to get up a ton of threes, and they have capable shooters, just not as good of shooters. So they need Isaiah Thomas to lead. They need him to be a playmaker. They need to get the guys open, and they need a lot of points out of him, especially in that fourth quarter. That's huge if they want to win this. Now, something I noticed about the Boston Celtics is they're going to be the toughest opponent for the Cleveland Cavaliers so far. I mean, I don't think it's even really close. The Cavs had the Pacers in the first round. They swept that team in close games. They still swept them, and they absolutely annihilated the Raptors in round 2. The thing about the Toronto Raptors, the difference between the Raptors and the Celtics is the Celtics defense is a whole lot better. They'll get out to shooters more, and the thing that might kill the Celtics is LeBron ISO, Kyrie ISO, Kevin Love post up. Like, if you get guys that can if you get a matchup problem, you switch on to Kelly Olynyk or Amir Johnson or Al Horford, and especially the fact that they don't have a lot of great rim protection. Their best defense is really all on the perimeter. So if they can't keep guys in front of them, there really isn't a way to stop that team from scoring, because as soon as you get blown by, they bring help over and you leave a shooter open, and then that's where it begins. The threes just start going in, and you get down 10, 15, 20 real quick. Now, the Boston Celtics do a really good offense in terms of their ball movement, their system. As long as they keep running their stuff, they keep getting those shots that they've been getting the first 2 rounds, it should be all good. They should be able to stay in the game. However, they're not going to be able to win a game unless they contain either Kyrie or LeBron James, especially LeBron James, because Kyrie, he's been struggling a little bit throughout the playoffs, but LeBron James is the guy that you got to let this guy stay on the perimeter. And I know it's so tough, and especially the way he's been shooting the ball, but if you let a guy get by you, it's over. And okay, they're well equipped to not let guys get by them. They do have that tandem of Marcus Smart, Avery Bradley, and Jay Crowder, which, you can throw those guys at LeBron. You could throw double teams at him, and, you're going to definitely stick Avery Bradley on Kyrie Irving. But then when you get a switch on Isaiah Thomas, that might be very tough. They're probably going to run a lot of stuff to try to get Thomas guarding LeBron James, and that's just probably the worst matchup in the history of basketball. Now, we've talked about the fourth quarters. We've talked about keeping guys out of the paint. The Boston Celtics need to utilize their shooters. This is something that they used, to their advantage to run away from a team like the Wizards in Game 1 or, even in Game 5. But the thing is that you're not going to be running away from the Cavs. The Cavs are a lot better than any team the Celtics have faced, and they're going to be ready for them. I know they will, but that probably won't end up mattering. The thing is, the Boston Celtics need their guys to come in and hit these shots, to have good killer instinct, to be able to make big shots. And I think I'm pretty confident in that one, because you look at that Raptors-Cavs series, and I just see DeRozan goes for 5 points one game. Your role players, you guys can't knock down threes at all in that series. It's like the shots you need, the needed shots they couldn't knock down. It's because their mentality just wasn't there. They didn't have guys that were killers on the inside. And that's the problem with the Raptors every year. They're good in the regular season. They know how to play basketball. They're good basketball players. But, when you amp up the energy, when you get a little bit more physical, and when the pressure rises, they don't deliver enough. The Celtics, they're a little bit better at that. Isaiah Thomas by himself has more killer instinct than that entire Raptors team. This guy is a killer. He's 5'9". He's got one of the biggest hearts in the NBA. This guy can get you buckets. He can score 25 in the fourth. He can do stuff like that. That's why, I give them a game. Because I figure that, one of these first 2 games, we're going to get 15 or more 3-pointers out of Boston and 40 points from Isaiah. And they're going to just outscore Cleveland at the very end and get a 3 or 4 point win. I think that could definitely happen. Isaiah Thomas, you're asking so much out of him in this series. Because when you look at that Cavs squad, you're going to have to deal with Kyrie Irving, 25 points a night from Kyrie Irving. You're going to have to deal with LeBron James, 25, and then those 8 assists, 9 assists. Kevin Love, 20 more points from him. And then all those shooters you got to get out to. The offense is so overwhelming. The Cavs offense it's incredibly tough to get back-to-back stops, to get on a run, to get a 10-0, 12-0 run against that team. And the Celtics, the thing with them is that, they're not a great team. They're a smart team, but they're not a great team in terms of their talent. The thing about them is, They run these great sets. They do this ball movement. They get everybody the ball. They get everybody shots. And they run smart offense, but the players aren't good enough. And the reason I said why they beat the Washington Wizards, I thought the Wizards had a better squad. But the thing is that the Wizards were inconsistent. They couldn't decide what they were going to do a lot of the time. You didn't know when they were going to get hot or not. The Celtics, it seemed like they were just a constant force. They weren't going to be great, really, but they were going to be good all the time. The thing is, the Cavs are usually great all the time, and that's why this is such a mismatch, is just because of the fact that the Celtics won't be able to keep up. When it counts, you can't rely on the Celtics to score points for you. And maybe, a few possessions in the fourth quarter, you can get shot after shot from Isaiah Thomas, but he's not going to be able to do that every game. He's going to have a down game, and when he has that down game, that might be a 10, 15, 20-point win for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and, that's really tough. But how I can envision a Celtics victory in this series, you got to take at least one of the games at home. If you lose both at home, which a lot of people are predicting they will, it's over. You're done. Even if you win one at home, it's probably over, because the chances of you winning at Cleveland is a lot less than you winning at Boston. They need both of these games. And it's a real tall order, I know, but if you end 1-1 with the Cavs, it's the Cavs. You're the Celtics. That's not an advantage at all. First of all, you lost home court advantage, and second of all, a tie for the Cavs. You're always going to give the advantage to the Cavs. It's 0-0, and the Cavs have a huge advantage. If it's 1-1, the Cavs still have a huge advantage. If you're up 2-0, then, we can start talking about the other direction. But you got that. That's why I say you got to get up 2-0, because if you're at 1-1, it's just like being at 0-0. And then you lose home court advantage, like I said. So, I need them to win the first two games, and they're probably going to drop the next two. And then, you know what? I think it just comes down to them winning all their games at home. I think that's what it does come down to, because the Celtics are better at home, and the Cavs are better at home. It's their best shot. They're not going to win, I don't think, either of game 3 or 4. I don't really see that happening. That would take a lot. They haven't been that good on the road. I think they weren't good on the road against the Wizards. They lost all 3 games on the road in their last series. The Cavs haven't lost on the road yet. And the Cavs haven't lost at home yet, of course. They've been better at home. So it's going to be real tough to get road wins. So at home, where you got to capitalize. That's where you're better. That's where you got that home atmosphere. The problem with that is that LeBron James in Boston is one of the scariest things in the NBA. They boo him, and he kills them. And I don't know if I've said this before, but I hate it when you boo a player like LeBron James, and you're not, and Boston, they only boo him because, they had so many battles back in the day, and they don't respect that or something, so they boo him. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Look what happened in the finals when the Golden State Warriors booed LeBron. Look what just Exhibit A, and they don't learn. So if they boo LeBron, no chance, 0. Okay? If they boo LeBron, which they probably will, so just forget about this video if that happens. But no, for real, I really do think the Cavs are taking this in 5. That being said, there's always a slight probability that, Boston just plays out of their mind. That's what it takes. Or, you get a big injury for Cleveland. But even that, unless it's LeBron getting injured, the Cavs are still favored. If their whole starting lineup, besides LeBron, gets injured, you're still favoring the Cavs. I'm sorry, but that's just what you're doing. That's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and idea down below. Subscribe if you're new, and I'm out. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.